Someone from their team was doing a live stream on Twitter and accidentally ended up live streaming porn on his laptop.
Now it's 5. It went up 5.6%, and it's now at 350 because of this. Oh my God.
It's just so funny.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the NFA podcast. We are back with episode number 3 of NFA. Hopefully we can figure out what the A stands for. We still haven't determined. Maybe you guys can help. I don't know.
Any
Shall
suggestions?
we get to
welcome. Yeah. Go.
Well, I'm Nish, the N in NFA. I've been in the space since 2018. If you don't know me, watch the first episode. This is Frackers. Well, Michiel, but the F is for Frackers. Please take it away.
Yeah, and then what this show, I'd love to call it the show, by the way, two people bullshitting away. So this show is about, I talk about tech stuff and AI, the stuff that goes on in the real technology world. And Nish is much more talking about meme coin stuff that's fake, degen, that kind of thing.
Real technology.
So I'm learning, basically I'm learning from Nish, pretending to be humble here. So
Likewise, I'm also learning from Frackers. So
he doesn't mean that.
let's get to it. Usually the way that we do this is that we'll give you new segments and a token that we're both looking at and so on. And usually Frackers and I send our news stories to each other before filming. Today, I did not send him anything because I wanted to surprise him. So let me know what you want to start with.
Well, I hate surprises. I hate surprise parties. I love throwing them. I don't like getting them. So let's start with your surprise. So it's like getting the vegetables before you eat the meat. The part that I don't like, because you're much too giggly about it. So I don't think it's anything good for me.
It's just so funny. It's like something that you wouldn't normally see in traditional markets. And I think that's what makes crypto such a degenerate industry. Basically, Near Protocol, one of the largest blockchain ecosystems out there, and they have done a phenomenal job. I mean, they've been in AI before AI was the main narrative. They weren't EVM compatible. They launched Aurora. Like, they've done so much in terms of tech and development that really, for me, they're seen as one of the more professional blockchain companies, which I guess, I mean, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, to be honest. Like, there was a meme coin launched on CZ's dog yesterday. Like, there's just so much. Anyway, going back to Near, someone from their team was doing a live stream on Twitter and accidentally ended up live streaming porn on his laptop.
Someone from the team?
Someone from their team.
Was it good?
There's screenshots on Twitter. We won't show them here. We're keeping this halal. No, that's not the worst part. So if you look at the tweets that were put up after from Near's ecosystem, I think that was quite surprising. I think their intern ended up putting up something like, pro tip, keep a separate laptop for work and personal, and then replied to his own thread and said, goon. And so I'm sure that there's going to be a meme coin on that soon. And then
But it was someone senior from the Near team that was on the call and he was doing a live stream, made a mistake on the screen share.
Yeah, and there's a screenshot of him actually like this because he realized he messed up.
I don't take any joy from that, seriously. That I just feel sorry for that person. Is
I
it a man
know.
or a woman?
It's a man.
Makes it less bad, I think. 'Cause I feel horrible for a woman if it would happen. If it's for a guy, I'm like, it's kind of stupid. But still, you don't wish that on anyone. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that was your news?
Well, no. So it kind of ties into my token as well.
There's more? Oh, okay.
Coin market cap chart from when this happened to where it is right now. We're seeing quite a high little pump going on.
Really? This was positive?
Yeah.
This came out well?
Let me find it.
No, it's 5.6%. No, it went up 5.6%, and it's now at 350 because of this. Oh my God.
It's just so funny.
Yeah. And that's actually what makes the token go up. I mean, that is what I do think is sort of sad, but it's publicity. So the theory here does seem to apply, right? That any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, basically. In crypto, I think any awareness translates to good awareness.
Not that we give tips here because it's not financial advice, but should we buy Near, or is this a temporary?
I think it's like
temporary rise.
I think it's a Litecoin situation. You remember when Litecoin came up with that tweet like last month saying, due to recent events, we now identify as a meme coin?
Yeah.
and their price just shot up. Well, they're back down. Obviously, that's not sustainable because they're not a meme coin.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just awareness. So it's up to you how you want to take it. All right. So this week, what I found really interesting is that short positions on Ethereum are the highest that they've ever been. And on the other hand, the fear and greed index hit 35, which is something that has never been done during a bull cycle before. So that's new. In fact, there are
Explain what that means, the fear and greed cycle hitting 35.
So, you have the fear and greed index, right?
I always see it on top of CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. They have it.
Yeah. And it basically tells you market sentiment. So, in really bullish times, like when Bitcoin goes from 70 to 100,000, you see a massive rise and the I guess gauge kind of moves towards greed because everyone just wants to make money, right? Yeah. So everyone's putting in money into things that are almost nonsensical because greed clouds their judgment. When it goes towards the fear side, people don't really want to deploy any capital. They want to keep their cash close to them. And right now we're seeing it at 35. It's right, 0 to 100. And basically, like, you have that entire spectrum in the middle. But essentially it's at 35, which is really low for the market that we're going through. This is supposed to be the bull run. So we are facing unprecedented market conditions for the time of the cycle that we're in. And it's causing a lot of fear amongst investors that have been in the space for a while because they're unable to predict the markets like they usually can.
Well, on CoinMarketCap, I look now on Ethereum, and so the price is 27.09. Community sentiment says green 70% bullish and red 30% is bearish. So maybe it changed back again. But even that is sort of either 30% bearish for a bull market is sort of not great, I'm assuming.
I think personally, I feel like the narrative on Ethereum's really shifting. Again, going back to Twitter, Vitalik put up a tweet saying something about communism, and everyone's taken that and ran. It was taken out of context, but essentially people are saying, well, Vitalik's a communist and a kid who's pretending to know what he's doing. It's really? Just, I think the sentiment is shifting. And compared to the price action that Bitcoin has done, this is creating a really negative sentiment.
If you look at 1 year, Ethereum is lower than a year ago. So basically proving your point, I guess.
So what was interesting is during the last cycle, there was the price at an all-time high, and Ethereum hasn't even touched that all-time high this cycle. And so it's just not performing the way that it's supposed to. And with the advent of new technology, you're talking about Sui, Aptos, Solana on its own, it's really creating negative sentiment around Ethereum because they're like, well, what are you going to do? What's going on for Ethereum? Like, there's just no news.
And I always have this feeling, maybe it's completely wrong, but because I'm a huge fan of Vitalik and I'm a huge fan of Ethereum as a platform. Just more that I'm amazed that somebody could do this. It's like a distributed Amazon Web Services, except anybody can join, right? And it's so it's open and all this kind of stuff, and everyone can benefit. But the weird thing to me still appears that they don't seem to be interested in promoting it, and they don't seem to be interested in pushing the price. So I think, I wouldn't say they're communists, but I do think they're less price-driven. I do think this guy's going to get like a Nobel Prize in economics in 30 years. But yeah, I still think so, seriously. Probably not in computer science, but in economics. It's like Jeffrey Hinton, the AI professor and guru and legend. He won one for, I think, physics last year. He didn't win it for computer science, which is very strange. Yeah. So usually you get it in something adjacent, I will say. Usually between mathematics and economics. You win it in mathematics for an economical theory. But I'm completely straying from the topic here.
Yeah, that I think that's a major issue right now, is that like we all went from being super bullish and extreme greed to just coasting, and trying to feel out the markets, but you can't predict the markets and you can't time it.
Now it's sort of boring in this whole crypto market, unless somebody starts fapping during a live stream. If that's what we need. But if that's what we need to do, if that's what it takes, I'm sure Hans and all my other colleagues is ready for it. So,
there was this theory that I heard, and I've always do my podcast in the morning during my run. Like, that's when I get in all of my information. There was this theory that was thrown up that I think that markets are a bit overpriced. Well, they were overpriced when Bitcoin hit its all-time high because of the hype surrounding Trump's election.
But like buy the rumor, sell the news. That appears to have been what happened. But
Yeah.
I do think some policies come out from David Sachs. They had, I would call him the crypto tsar now in the US. He comes out of the VC world. He's one of the PayPal mafia guys, friend of Peter Thiel, Elon Musk in that same group. Clearly, I don't think he's going to wait 100 days to make his first announcement that's impactful. So I expect something in the next 30 to 60 days at the latest.
Okay, well,
to come out of the
hopefully that serves as a nice little pump. So I do have some other news. GameStop is considering investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I found this really interesting because I thought they would have already got in last
And did you see the movie?
No, I didn't.
God, it's great.
No.
It's an incredible movie. It's so good. Pete Davidson is in it. Seth Rogen. It's really well acted. It's well written. It's a really, really great movie. Even if you don't even understand anything about the stock market and Robinhood, it's really a good movie. But so GameStop, the company, is buying Bitcoin?
They're talking about buying crypto, yeah.
Oh, they haven't done it yet.
They haven't.
Okay. All right.
But you would have thought that they already got in, especially after crypto people are basically the reason that they're still around.
Yeah, you think it's a sign of loyalty. You want loyalty by a dog, eh? I mean, that's naive to think, the GameStop people are going to really appreciate the stock price being up because of crypto, folks. Now they're going to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, they think 3 months ahead of their own bonus. That's what CEOs do, especially in public companies. They have no 3-year vision. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm old and cynical. I
think we were just a bit hopeful.
Yeah, you're hopeful. Yeah, no, it didn't happen.
At least it's happening now.
Yeah, it's an interesting announcement. I do think a lot of companies, also bigger companies, will look at holding Bitcoin as a hedge in terms of treasury management. It just makes sense to have some exposure to this space.
I read something so interesting about treasury management, by the way. So companies in the US where whoever had Bitcoin on their balance sheets could not report when the price went up, could only report when the price went down. So their balance sheets would show that their price was falling down or their profit was down because of the price of Bitcoin. But they couldn't show it as up again. Which
That's really weird.
Yeah, so Trump is changing that. But what's interesting is that companies were so bullish on Bitcoin that they were like, it doesn't matter.
Don't you think that Trump was really busy, President Trump, last week because of the exploding straws? I don't know if you saw that announcement. America's going back to plastic straws because paper straws were just very bad and they were exploding in some cases.
Wow.
So, yes. So I think the focus is not on the right things. That was my conclusion. Okay, so you got GameStop. Anything else going on in the crypto space that us old people should know about? So today...
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what else is launching today?
No?
The Tinder Swindlers token.
Didn't even know he was launching a token. The Tinder Swindler is launching a token.
Yeah, of course.
How's that going to go? Do you know the name of the token? Because I want to follow it. I do want to see what happens.
I'm not sure. Let me check. I think it's TIND, T-I-N-D. That's the ticker.
Elon Musk is bidding on OpenAI. He has announced that he will make a bid on OpenAI for around just a little south of $100 billion. And there's debate whether it's a real bid or if it's a fake bid. So I think it's just a bid to sort of poke fun at Sam Altman. The two of them founded with some others, great people, founded OpenAI, and they've been feuding for years now. So I do think that Musk is only doing this to prevent Altman from changing OpenAI from a not-for-profit foundation to a commercial company. And it makes it harder. It's hard to say this is not a commercial company if someone is doing a bid of $97 billion. Right? So I think it's a little bit of that. But there's a little interesting thing there, which is that Microsoft owns 49% of the shares of OpenAI. So for Microsoft, it will mean getting almost $50 billion. And probably a well-paying customer in the years to come, because the most money that OpenAI spends, it spends on Microsoft Azure, the cloud platform, and all the data centers to run ChatGPT. So for Microsoft, actually, it could be nice to maybe cash some of it and maybe keep some shares. And I'm sure that Musk and Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, should be able to work out a deal. And Sam Altman doesn't own any shares in OpenAI. So he actually doesn't have much say about it, because it's a non-profit foundation with a board that controls OpenAI and controls most of the shares, the majority of the shares. So it's actually a messed up situation because of the poor structure that OpenAI chose at the start, and then trying to veer away from that and become a commercial company. So I don't think it's real, but we'll follow that news as it comes along. There'll be a lot.
It's going to be really interesting to see what Elon does with AI because, as you know, Tesla is not a car company, it's a data company. X is the decentralized media platform. So I'm curious to see what's actually brewing under all that noise.
I'm sure he could do something with it because he could roll it up OpenAI with his own company, with XAI, his own AI company. I'm sure he's got some plans for it. But that leads to my second news item, which is almost funny, but it was the AI summit in Paris, organized by President Macron. Or actually, I should call it not the AI summit, I should call it Le Sommet de l'Action pour l'Intelligence Artificielle. You don't think the French were just going to call it the AI summit?
Impressive.
That's what you think. If you would speak French, you would know it was horrible. I just butchered it. But I just love the fact that they want to make sure that they announced it in French. Screw the word AI. They got l'intelligence artificielle. But the US and the UK refused to sign the Safe AI treaty signed by more than 60 countries. But it's one of those treaties without any teeth. So if you sign it, it doesn't commit you to anything. And if you don't sign it, it doesn't prohibit you from anything. It's one of those things where I wonder, why the hell do you want to have a treaty? Or covenant or whatever they call them.
My take is that it's just for noise, right? Because I had a conversation with this girl that I met the other day and she was like, oh, you work in tech? I find AI really scary. And I was like, and basically she was just going on about how scary it is and how her entire family and friends have the same exact sentiment. I think that's the whole reason for treaties like this. They're baseless. They don't actually offer anything. What are you going to do in case it does go rogue?
And how do you want to prevent any kind of code coming out on the web? Because that's what you want to do then. You want to have legislation that prevents code from slipping out. And good luck with that one. The fun part was the EU committed $200 billion to what exactly? Nobody knows. Apparently, 20 billion will go in AI Giga Factories, which is another word for data centers, but that doesn't sound cool. So now they call them AI Giga Factories.
I've never heard that.
Neither had I. It's the first time I ever read it, but that's EU for you. What they should have done in Europe, or what they still can do, is actually co-invest through a fund in AI companies that develop AI applications on an open source framework. Meaning, if they would, let's say, adopt DeepSeek, for example, and rework the code base and start with a fully open source code base where you can also see the training data, and then invest through a fund in companies that build applications on top of that, or with that open source code base, then it could be interesting. So then you could build a whole ecosystem around an open source AI LLM, which doesn't exist right now. And then you can put the 200 billion to work. But can you imagine now that some government official is going to figure out where to invest 200 billion in AI gigafactories? It's a disaster waiting to happen.
That's insane.
Yeah, I still think right now it's such a weird space. Because in AI, all the attention is going to LLMs, whether it's Meta spending 65 billion this year or Microsoft 80 billion. It's all going to LLMs.
Crazy.
Really. Yeah. Those are serious amounts. In the end, Nvidia wins. We'll get to that. In my stock picking. But anyways, and then the third one is very much close to your heart. I picked this especially for you. San Francisco is full of college dropouts starting AI startups too young to drink. I understand in the US where studying is so expensive that actually not going to college could actually make sense, to be honest with you. But what do you think? So I was really curious to hear your take on this as a student.
I completely agree. You know that I'm getting my degree here in Dubai, and my first degree was done in Singapore, second degree was done in India, because the cost of the US education just doesn't make sense. I'm now on my third degree and I have still paid less than a single degree would cost in the US. Education quality, it depends where you go. I really got lucky with my degree. Because the cases that I was working on, especially in India where there's such a lack of education, were cases that you wouldn't even read about in the US. One of the cases that I had personally worked on has been turned into a case study of this massive 2-kilo tumor. Like, it's wild, you know, the things that you're able to see and work on. That quality of education,
it sounded like you were saying in India there's so many great tumors to work on that you just don't have in the US. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard to start Microsoft and Facebook. But it doesn't mean that your chance of being a successful entrepreneur is higher when you drop out of Harvard or drop out of college.
Of course.
That's not how statistics work. But I do understand in the US, I don't think though in Europe or in, let's say, in the Gulf region where you live, in Asia where I live, that's necessarily the greatest advice, simply because also the returns on the startups aren't there. So your cost of education are lower outside of the US and the return on startups is lower. So I don't think that it's the same risk-reward scenario in those countries, because I know there's a lot of students watching this, and I just want to make clear that even though...
Listen, I will say, at least for those that don't want to start their own companies or, you know, those that are waiting to get lucky, there's so many startups that fail. And that's an important note to make, is that what's the stat? Like 99% of startups fail within their first year. Something crazy.
Something like, what I do know, like an average in Europe, I don't know in the US, but like after 5 years, usually less than 20% of companies even exist, let alone are successful. Just in existence, just getting by, not bankrupt. So 4 out of 5 don't even get to the 5th year. So.
Yeah. And then you're talking about growing in tech, which I think we saw during the dot-com boom. We saw it again during the crypto boom in 2020. Everyone was launching a token for everything. And we're seeing it again this cycle, but now with AI and crypto both combined. I think it's just going to draw a lot of noise, but we'll see what companies are there 4 years from now.
But it's an interesting thing though, right? For kids not going to college. I'm just thinking of Asian kids. Being Asian, geez, my parents would go nuts if you say I dropped out of college to do a startup.
Yeah, my mom, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with your mom. So,
Me too.
Let's move to the market spotlight. So, what are your warnings or picks or any highlights you have in the specific token space or tech space? What do you have?
So usually my picks will correlate with the news that I give. I think the main one was my bearish sentiment on Ethereum, which is not financial advice. You do you. But personally, I have nothing in Ethereum anymore. And, I'm still very bullish on Sui. I think the entire market just needs a little pick-me-up. So hopefully that comes soon. And then my updates with Near. So I do feel like the bigger picture with Near is actually quite good.
Exactly. I was going to ask that. So what do you think?
I actually really like Near. I need to buy Near. Anyway, so yeah, I really like Near.
Sui to come up so you can sell some, so you can buy Near. That's what I hear you saying.
Yes, basically. But I'm scared that Near is going to go up when Sui goes up, so it's better to dollar cost average, but not financial advice.
Not financial advice.
So yeah, Near Protocol overall, I have quite a bullish sentiment on it. I like their technology. I like their team. I like what they're doing. I feel like there are two ways that this one little, I guess, news frenzy could go. One is that they play it off, and it seems like that's what they're trying to do, and just use the attention to make larger announcements. But on the other side is that it could just be in the moment hype that you're seeing. But if they use it the right way, I feel like they could actually end up being one of the market leaders for the blockchain, because the call for what blockchain is going to take over this cycle is still pretty open. No one really knows what it's going to be.
Last year, I was going to do this for my newsletter. I thought, you know what, start with $100 to prove to people that you can actually start with $100 and then grow from there. And then I thought every month I'm going to put in 100 extra. But then I thought, no, it's more fun if I just stay with 100 and see where I get in a year, which is now. So this week. So I started February 17. I just sold the other day the huge loss, Supermicro, at $39, which had bought at 47, so a 20% loss. And it's because they still haven't recovered from the moment when their accountant walked out citing fraud at Supermicro's numbers. That didn't help. So I didn't want to wait anymore. So I thought it went up a little. I'm selling it. And then I bought more Palantir at 114. But I first bought Palantir a year ago at $24. And I bought Nvidia at 114. So now after a year, my portfolio is, with leverage, $320. And with leverage, it means that when Palantir stock went up and Nvidia stock went up, I was able to borrow money from the broker and buy more stocks with as the collateral, the other stocks I already had bought, Palantir and Nvidia. So I was able to turn $100 into $320. The market value of my account says 600, but first I have to pay back the loan. So I went from $100 to 320, but I'm still hoping, whatever happens, that people build AI Giga Factories, because they're going to end up as a customer at Nvidia, because that's
awesome.
What's going to happen. Yeah,
that's really cool.
But not financial advice. You do you again. And here's my tip though. If you start, I'm giving my nephew and nieces advice, which none of them have ever followed. But here's my advice. So start with $100. And start buying an ETF, an index fund like of the NASDAQ, was it, or S&P 500 or World Index, MSCI, something like this. And then just reinvest the profits that come out and see how you like it. And then if you want to buy individual stocks, buy stocks of companies you understand and start with $100 and then see what can happen. And then if you feel comfortable, put $100 more, but only with money that you can afford to lose. or at least that you don't need next month to pay the rent or groceries. So that's Grandpa's advice. I have something in closing that I haven't shared with you. So here's my surprise for you. I've been working on AI very hard, and it's a very proud moment. I created 2 theme songs for us. Actually, I created 12, but every week I'll let you listen to 2. Just the intro. It's done with Suno.ai. This is probably the most horrible cultural appropriation you can do, but I asked it to make Eurodance, Dutch house, Dutch trance for the first one. And the second one, I asked for some based on your cultural heritage. And see if you can pick out which one is which. Here comes the first.
Nisheta with a frog sticker bright. Dentist by day, crypto queen at night. Michael's got the meme coin delight.
What meme coin delight?
Yeah, it's again AI. It's 90% correct. It's always 10% off.
That
was one.
Funny.
Well, yeah, wait until you hear yours. That was the Dutch version. Here comes see if you can recognize which cultural heritage I was going for here.
Gather round, kids, it's the weekly show. Tech tales and crypto, where the insights flow from the gurus steeped in the digital gold. Sit back, relax, let the wisdom unfold. NFA podcast, we're breaking it down.
That's it. I'm sold. This is our new song.
The second one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the second one, but yeah, this is what I have for you.
I wonder if you can do it with like an Indian accent.
I didn't ask for that because I thought that would get me in trouble. Although under the current presidency, probably this would get me a presidential Medal of Freedom. I think we should wrap up because we're out of time.
Yes.
I'll see you next week, and don't be a stranger.
Sounds good. See you guys soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks.